reason I am starting this cooking show is because of my mother. Unfortunately, she passed away in February of this year, and the one cookbook that I was able to salvage is this book from 1902. This cookbook is insane, you guys. It has anything in it from how to brine eggs to how to make pemmican. There's possum pie in here. I doubt we're gonna be making that. I am going to cook my way through this book, and I hope you guys join me on the adventure. It's gonna be interesting, I promise you. I can guarantee you that. Today I have a very special guest joining me. My sous chef today is going to be Mr. Caspian. He is my 8-month-old. He's not doing so well right now, so he wants to be right alongside me in the kitchen. So I said, hey, why not have him join me? And we'll see how this goes. Right now it is hunting season. My husband is a huge hunter. He's always, as soon as bow season gets here, he's headed straight to his tree stand, and more than likely he's coming back with either a buck or a doe, or sometimes both, to go into my freezer. If you're like me and you're like, what am I gonna do with all this venison? This episode is for you. Hey, what do you guys think about the hash? What do you think about the deer?
We're trying to touch the blood.
The what? The blood?
Yes.
Beckham, what do you think of the hash?
Nothing.
Nothing? Are you gonna eat it?
No.
You want mommy to cook this deer?
Yes.
Yes. What kind of seasoning should we put on it? Huh?
Mustard.
Mustard?
Yes.
That'd be awesome. What else? What else should we put on the deer?
I want to cut his head.
You want to cut his head?
They cut his head.
What else should we put on it?
Some ketchup.
Some ketchup? Ketchup and mustard? What else?
A cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger? You guys are silly. Isn't that cool that the deer's in the back of Daddy's truck?
See how sharp they are.
Oh, sharp antlers. Oh my goodness. Do you want to be a hunter like Daddy someday?
Yes.
And shoot a hash? Shoot a deer? The first thing we're going to be working on is a side dish for this tenderloin that I'm going to be wrapping in bacon, throwing on the grill, searing, wrapping it in parchment paper, and finishing it in foil. The backstrap, I'm going to be preparing a jerk marinade. My mom's brother, Pita, gave me this recipe for his jerk seasoning. He's known all over Belize for his special jerk flavor, so you're in for a treat. But I'm going to be starting off with our traditional beans and rice as a side dish. In my beans, I have 1 onion, oregano, a little bit of thyme, and pepper. Don't ever cook your beans with salt in it. It'll take longer to soften. When I go to measure my beans for my rice, I measure beans in with the liquid. Okay, see, I have beans in there, I have liquid in there. I always use coconut milk with my beans to cook my rice. I just love the flavor, adds that really nice flavor. I like the Thai Kitchen brand. Just make sure you don't get the coconut, the sweetened coconut milk, and make sure you're not getting the coconut cream. The coconut cream is like for pina coladas, that kind of thing. I used about 2 cans for this is an 8-quart pot. I would use about 2 cans, possibly even more. And then I usually add a little bit of the real Belizean coconut oil too, to add some of that really nice flavor. This is mom life. This is hashtag real life right here. I have 2 very, very full cups of beans there. And I always go 2-to-1 ratio. If I'm doing 2 cups of beans, I do 1 cup of rice. I'm gonna be doing 4 cups of beans to 2 cups of rice in here. The rice I'm gonna be using today is Full Circle Organic. It's a long grain rice. When you're buying white rice to do beans, make sure you get a long grain. It's gonna come out better for you, not be so gummy. Hey, Sous Chef Caspian, you're supposed to be helping me, buddy. You're supposed to be helping me. A little bit that, and then just a little bit more liquid. That should be about right. Now I'm gonna add the salt to my beans. Let's start with a tablespoon. To me, beans and rice are something that's a heaping tablespoon. I'm gonna do 2. To me, rice and beans are something that you need to add a lot of salt to. They don't really, for some reason, it takes a lot to kind of get these to take on flavor. So I'm gonna be throwing this on my stove on high. Bringing that to a full boil, and once that hits a full boil, I'm gonna throw my rice in there, 2 cups of rice, put my lid on, turn it to low, and just let that baby go. Once you have your rice in here, you don't wanna mess around with it too much. You can check it once or twice, give it a stir because of the beans in it. Kinda wanna, make sure that it's circulating through there good, but you don't wanna be standing here stirring rice. You're gonna end up with gum, okay? So let's move on to the marinade for my backstrap. My backstrap I have right here. I literally went out to the processing plant where my husband took his deer yesterday. I watched the butcher process this. It was the most fascinating thing ever. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna be adding to this is a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Today I am working with elephant garlic. I don't know if you're familiar with elephant garlic. It's not actually garlic. It's actually from the family of leek. It's a lot milder. It's huge. It's ginormous. Look at these. These are cloves of garlic. They're insanely huge, okay? But they're small in flavor. So this recipe calls for 6 to 8 garlic cloves. I'm gonna be putting all of this in there because once this cooks down, you just don't get that potent flavor like you would from garlic. So that's what we're gonna be using today. I'm gonna be mincing this up. This is gonna take me a little bit because these are just so humongous, but I'm also gonna be adding an entire bunch of cilantro. Doesn't call for that, but I love me some cilantro. You're supposed to add 4 to 6 habanero peppers. I omitted that and substituted some serrano peppers, 2 stalks of scallions, and then I'm gonna be adding some nutmeg, allspice, thyme leaves, and cinnamon. Okay, I almost skipped a step here. I'm going to get this backstrap cleaned up and get some of that gamey taste out of it. What I added to this was some vinegar. I'm gonna be adding some water as well and soaking that for a little bit to kind of get some of the impurities and some of that blood out. Traditionally, this marinade that I was about to make, the longer you marinate this, the better, the more flavor it's gonna take on. 24 hours in your refrigerator is great. However, to be able to show you all what I'm doing, I'm just gonna be doing a quick marinade. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up, and in 1 second, we're gonna return to that marinade, okay? My little sous-chef fell asleep. I don't know how much help he's gonna be from here on out, but hey, at least he's happy. I'm adding 2 cups of rice to my beans right now. I'm gonna go ahead and taste that for seasoning, see if I have enough salt in it. And then I'll be adding a little bit of coconut oil. Try not to burn Caspian. That's a little bit on the salty side, so I would say probably cut down to about 1.5 tablespoons. So we have that at a rolling boil. I'm gonna pop the lid on this, turn it to low, and let that go. Haha, you see what I did there? Turn it to low and let it go. Wow, I feel like my dad now. I have my meat back there and some vinegar and water trying to cleanse out the impurities, so that we have that going on. And in the meantime, we're gonna get back to our marinade. I have a 1/2 cup of brown sugar in here. Maybe I should just let my poor little guy go to sleep because, whoa, that is a clove of garlic like I have never seen. They weren't kidding when they called this elephant garlic. Look at that. That's 1 clove. That's like a whole garlic. Good grief. But that's what's so crazy is that it's so mild. Honestly, guys, this has the texture of like a water chestnut. It's really strange. I've never worked with this before, but I saw it at the grocery store and I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. I'm gonna try that. On the little label that came on it recommended to actually roast it. And I wanted to do that, but I read somewhere online that they said roasting actually makes the flavor even more mild. So I was like, if I'm going to be using this in place of garlic, I better stick with a more traditional root. Root, get it? Because it's a root. But honestly, look at this pile of garlic for the same amount of about 5 to 6 cloves. Apparently, my sous chef must not have been cut out for this job because he went on strike, went to sleep, left me here all by my lonesome. But I'll see what I can produce without him. I am moving on to some cilantro. I'm doing a whole bunch. So let's rough chop this cilantro. I've already done the scallions or green onions. I've also done a fine dice or a brunoise on the serrano peppers. I held off on all of them because I wasn't sure on the heat level on these, and I don't want to kill my husband. I love spice. We both love spice, but he's going to be the one that's mainly into this dish. This is a
what
I literally can't think of the word cut. My husband's gonna be the main one that's gonna be into this dish. I grew up eating deer meat in Belize, or as in Creole, we say dia. About 4 serrano peppers, fine dice, the world's entire supply of garlic, 1 bunch of cilantro. The nice thing about such a large batch of jerk is this will be good in your fridge for a long time. You're gonna be able to keep this in there and use this later for chicken, for beef, for pork. I mean, jerk is good on a lot of things. I'm looking for about a tablespoon of thyme leaves.
Yeah, that works.
Sorry guys, I'm just a pinch and dump person. That was about a tablespoon. 1 teaspoon cinnamon. 1 teaspoon nutmeg. Ooh, I love me some nutmeg, especially in the winter time. It just brings you that cozy, nostalgic feeling. Some black pepper. I'm not going to go too crazy with that because we already have quite a bit of heat coming to this. Salt, I'm probably going to go with a good tablespoon. And this time I'm going to use an actual utensil. Since these are not barbarian days, we have those available now. Oh, I'm missing my allspice. Ooh, this is looking unctuous and delicious. I've never seen such a fresh jerk marinated in my life. We need 2 tablespoons of soy. Soy. The recipe does not call for this, but because I'm always hacking everything, I'm gonna add a little bit of liquid smoke. Instead of pimento seeds, which is just allspice berries, I'm gonna be adding the ground allspice. That works as well, but instead of doing the 1/2 cup of the pimento, I'm just gonna go with 3 tablespoons. Is it wrong that I'm using my son's little play wooden spoon? I just like it so well. It works for this. And while I am thinking about it, this is my last remaining bottle of coconut oil until I go to Belize this Christmas, which, by the way, big announcement. I am so excited. I will be going to Belize over Christmas time. I'm going to be there for about a week and a half, and I will be filming several episodes on site. I'm going to be doing one with my granny, Ines. She lives in Isabella Bank, Belize. I'm going to be doing, hoping against hope, that I can do one on coconut oil and one on ricotta, how ricotta paste is done. So, very thrilled to be heading to Belize to do that. Loosen up a bit of coconut oil, throwing that in with my rice to get that really delicious coconut flavor. I'm gonna stir that once just to make sure that's cooking good. Okay, my rice and beans are cooking well. And also, just so you know, when you're doing rice and beans are gonna take longer than just a pot of rice because the beans in it hold that moisture and it just takes a little bit longer to cook. It's not gonna cook as fast as just a pot of white rice. So I'm just gonna let that go. That should be good in another about 20 minutes or so. So I rinsed this backstrap really well. You can see that the coloring changed a little bit. That's due to the vinegar and salt. It got a lot of that excess blood and impurities off of it. The tenderloin, this is what this looks like. There's 2 of these per deer. This is the least used piece of muscle in a deer, and that's why it's so tender. That's why it's called a tenderloin. It's the same thing for beef. If this was beef, this would be filet mignon, and this would be like your ribeye. I'm gonna put this back into the bowl with a decent amount of this marinade on it. Like I said, my grill is getting nice and hot. What I'm going to be doing with this backstrap is I'm going to be throwing this onto the grill, searing it on either side, and then I'll be taking it off the heat, wrapping it in parchment paper and foil, and then putting it back on the heat and cooking it until we've reached the desired doneness. You will see me outside in the freezing cold. It's about 30 degrees here right now. I'm pretty sure the pilgrims didn't have a choice. They just had to go outside and cook their food. Well, actually, I guess they would have had fireplaces. Well, some of them. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is if you want that really good grilled taste, you've got to make a sacrifice sometimes. Okay, I don't know how well you guys can see. It's nighttime, but I'm gonna sear off this steak on here, this tenderloin. I'm gonna do both sides and then I'm gonna wrap it in bacon and bring it back to the grill and finish it off that way to impart some of those bacon juices. And since this is more of a lean cut of meat, it'll add some flavor to it. This is essentially like the ribeye of the deer that you're looking at here. And I changed my mind. I'm gonna be cutting this into steaks instead of doing the whole thing more like a prime rib, because it's gonna take longer to do that way, and we're running a little short on time. It's cold outside and we're hungry. We're starving pilgrims, okay? We've just come across on the ship. We've got our first deer for Thanksgiving. Okay, I'm gonna be slicing these off fairly thin. You know what? It looks like I have some silver skin to remove there. The guy at the butcher shop told me not to remove this, or said that he never does. I'm not quite certain where he got that from, but he also said he doesn't eat deer meat. So I'm not quite sure if I should trust his opinion or not. I was always told that you would remove silver skin because it's tough, obviously. You can't chew through it. You're supposed to hold your knife really close to it and just kind of allow that to be your guide. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is cut that into about 1/2 inch thickness, something like that. And then what I can do is save these other ones for Randall. And while I'm traveling to Arkansas this weekend to see my sister, he can marinate these a little bit longer and have these for his din-din while his wife is gone. So exciting. Randall himself, the man of the hour, the one who provided this meat for us, shot the deer, is going to be joining us just shortly. Getting ready to flip my tenderloin on the grill. Get these moving around in there, get some nice flavor in there. Like I said, this would actually be better marinated longer, but if you just need to do a quick marinade, it'll still work. Still provide a nice, delicious flavor for you. Okay, there's some deer steaks. These actually are making me hungry for as much as I say that I don't really care for deer meat. And as thin as these are, they shouldn't take that long. We're gonna do 5 for good measure. Mr. Cameraman, will you be eating one of these?
No.
Okay. The cameraman declined my offer. So I'm gonna be taking this tenderloin inside and wrapping that in bacon. And then we'll be coming back to check on these. Okay, so we have a little bit of color on this tenderloin. It could have stood to have been a little bit more brown, but it was a little bit hard to see out there with the lighting. That's all right. At least we got a little bit of color going on it. I'm gonna wrap this in bacon and throw it back on the grill. I might end up skipping that entire parchment paper thing now that I'm did a little change in menu there and went with the bacon instead. That's what makes a great cook. If you can see an opportunity, seize it, and switch it up without missing a beat. Don't let it stress you out. This bacon is from Green Sausage House in Temple, Texas. It is maple bacon and is literally one of my favorite bacons in the entire world, okay? My friend Anna lives close to Waco. Whenever she comes here, I have her bring it to me 10 pounds at a time. It's thick sliced. It's only $4 a pound. It's maple bacon. I have never found bacon that beats this bacon. Even bacon that's $10, $12, $14 a pound cannot beat this bacon out. They slice it right there for you, fresh in house. So Green Sausage House, Temple, Texas, try it out. Okay, here goes the tenderloin on the grill with the bacon. I might have overshot these a little bit on the one side, so they shouldn't take very long at all on the other side to get really a medium well. Got 4 steaks here that are finished. You always want your protein to rest, because what happens is when the heat hits it, it drives all the juices, all the liquids, all the moisture to the center of the steak. If you don't rest it, once you cut it, all of those juices are gonna run out. If you let it rest, the juices slowly make their way back through the rest of the protein, and that's where the importance of resting comes in. Putting the plantain, and then we should be able to do. I think that those look good. They look wreck-a-tech-tech. So we have about 5 minutes left on the tenderloin. It's wrapped, it's on the grill. Our rice was looking a little bit more wet than I liked it to, so I took off the lid. I'm gonna let it dry out a little bit. We're gonna head on to the side dish for this jerk chicken and rice and beans, and that is plantains. A lot of people confuse these with bananas. That's not what that is if you see that in a grocery store. It's a lot starchier. It doesn't have the same sweet taste to it. It doesn't taste like a potato, but it's a lot more along those lines as far as in starch is concerned. And I cut these into long pieces like that. Or not. Okay, oopsie daisy. That's actually why I prefer to cut these in circles like this sometimes. You can do that too. Some people are just very traditional and want them only in the long pieces like this. So I'm going to be, my oil right here is heating. I prefer peanut oil just because it's a better oil, better for you. But what's in here is canola. I just sprinkle my salt directly into my fat. Once these finish frying, you're gonna want to get a plate out, put some paper towel on it to let them drain. When they get a color on them, some caramelization like that, you know they're good to go. The riper they are, the more mushy they'll be, just like a banana, and the sweeter they'll be also. I personally prefer them just almost green, not quite, but just a little bit of sweetness to them, and green for a plantain chip. This is the simplest hack of all time. Steel molds like this are very expensive. Go to the store, get them to cut up PVC pipe for you in whatever depth and width and whatever you want. Pack it around with a spoon. Always try to work with a really clean plate and clean as you go. I'll be very honest, presentation is very, very important and I'm all about it, but it is not my strong suit. So if any of you viewers out there have tips for me, please feel free to send them my way. I will be very happy to hear whatever you guys have to say. Let's see, this has been resting for about 5 minutes now. Let's see how this is. Wow, that looks nice and juicy. The steam coming off of that. Ooh, those juices look wonderful. We'll see if I overshot this or if we're about the right temperature. That is definitely done. I might have overshot. Oh, there's a nice medium well or so. In the middle, it's looking more like a medium rare. So it was a little bit hard to tell with not having cooked deer meat before what temperature we were looking for. But it's making some great little medallions. This side is a little bit more done and the middle is a little bit more rare. So you'd be able to suit a lot of taste with that. Unfortunately, I'm really disappointed, but Randall is unable to make it for this episode after all. He's not going to be able to make it in time. So Beckham is filling in for his daddy. This meat is from the hind leg. This is where we make jerky from. It's nothing but pure muscle. Basically, the only equipment you need is a knife, the hind quarter, some marinade from, this one's from called Jerky Juice for 5 pounds of meat from Cabela's. Before you slice this meat, you're going to want to put it in your freezer and get it firm until you can just about poke it, something like that. If it's too soft, you're not going to be able to get those nice, even, clean slices that you're looking for. And I mean, once again, it's jerky, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but you definitely want some nice thin slices. In the cookbook, this is called pemmican. They had just a real short little article about it. They didn't say much about it. They didn't give any details on seasonings, anything like that. They basically just said, this is what travelers would have eaten. And they didn't even tell me what part of the deer it came from, but I figured that out when I went to watch this deer get butchered. And I saw them cut the hind leg of the deer. And shoot, I just got that one way too thick. That is not jerky material. That is more like a steak. What Beckham has in his hands there is the marinade. Here it's a little bit more frozen in the middle. Poor Caspian is crying. We need to get him. Okay, these frozen pieces are just so much easier to slice. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful piece of meat. That's gorgeous. Put the slices of meat in there for mommy.
This one?
Yeah, don't cut yourself on the knife. Yep, drop them in. Okay, keep dropping them in. Good job, buddy. We're gonna make pemmican. You know what pemmican is, Beckham?
Jerky. And this one's beautiful.
That one's beautiful too.
And this is beautiful.
That's beautiful.
And this one's kind of big.
That one's kind of big, you're right. Now we can open this. And one of these jars, this is, like I said, this is the Cabela's jerky juice. Smokehouse Original flavor. And this is for about 5 pounds of meat. We're gonna shake this up real well and put probably about half of this in here. Oh! Wow! That worked out well. Okay, hang on, buddy. You gotta put it inside the bag, okay? Okay, make sure this gets inside the bag. There. Good job. Yep, till it's all gone. Okay, we gotta clean up this mess, finish cutting this up, put the rest in there, stick it in your refrigerator for 24 hours. Randall's gonna put this in a dehydrator and then sprinkle some seasoning on it. Thanks for joining us today on Mrs. Eden Claire. Thanks for helping me out today, buddy. There it is, one big bag of pemmican coming up.
Break it.